there are other characters that also came back around back then when nobody had a cell phone. Let's actually talk about another character called Bonnie Rockwaller. Okay, Omid, I don't know if you watched Kim Possible, have you?
Not much, but I'm aware of her character and how she was a rival to Kim Possible.
Yes.
But
So Bonnie Rockwaller is a rival to Kim Possible. She's always bossy and mean. She's like, something happened back in elementary where both of them are like rivaling each other, and it led up to high school. But the character trait that I want to bring up for Bonnie Rockwaller is the fact that she wants to be on top. She likes to be the number one person in school. And it may not be with grades, and it may not be with like being, so I'm assuming maybe with grades, but maybe definitely with cheerleading. That's the reason why she wants to be the team cheerleader captain, not Kim Possible.
is she one of those that always says, "Oh, I'm going to be the top of the pyramid"?
Yes,
pyramid.
that was actually an episode. There was that. Bonnie also was the popular kid as well. I would say not as popular because Kim Possible definitely was saving the world. She's the most popular girl in the world when Kim Possible started. Bonnie Rockwaller was more of like wants to be the popular kid in Middleton, the high school that Kim and Ron were in. If anything, it does showcase the fact that Bonnie wants to become that popular kid. And it showed off the fact that maybe I don't know if she was actually rich. She actually did have some caring parents here and there. Her mom was actually pretty cool, not like Bonnie, who was like a jerk.
I don't know where she got that mean gene from, like those genetics. It's like...
I don't know. Maybe it's just, like I said, back then when they were rivals. So there could be that unfortunate thing. If anything, there was a time where like Bonnie wanted to be on top. And there was also that time where actually she did date a villain, senior, junior, and both of them actually did become a couple at the end of the show. Now, senior, junior definitely feels like an influencer type because he's popular, he's rich, he has a daddy who's rich, and he can do whatever it takes to become rich. Like he literally went on to a dance-off in jail and became popular there. I'm just saying, like, there are influencer types that were all over Kim Possible. Not Kim. Kim and Ron were definitely the huge thing that was the focus on the last season of Kim Possible. But Bonnie Rockwaller definitely felt that vibe of saying, hey, you're the popular kid. You're the one that wants to be on top. And if you want to be on top, you want to have your fans. And I feel like she definitely would be the influencer type in this kind of cartoon. So yes, Bonnie Rockwaller. I don't know. Others might say otherwise, but she definitely felt of an influencer there.
Yeah, I from the way you described it and the way I'm looking at her, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, she definitely looks to be that type.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know you don't watch Kim Possible, but bro, please watch it. Please watch it, everybody, whoever doesn't watch Kim Possible. It's on Disney Plus, guys. Everything's on Disney Plus there.
I mean, I would, but my huge backlog is sort of like holding me back. But gosh. I'll definitely get to it. I'll get to it.
Okay. Well, let's actually talk about another character that was around. Actually, let me see. Do we have other characters that we actually want to bring up? Oh yeah, Pacifica Northwest. Now,
there we go. Let's go.
Let's actually go to Gravity Falls this time, and let's actually talk about Pacifica Northwest because, okay, she doesn't have a cell phone. She doesn't have social media to pretty much stream herself and have a lot of fans, but she had that influencer type where all of Gravity Falls know her name.
Yeah, and it's due to the fact of how she comes from a rich family who descended from the quote-unquote founder, not really founder, more like a fraud, but regardless. So her name is Pacifica Northwest, and the Northwest are a rich and powerful family, Gravity Falls, and she pretty much, she gets popular because of the last name.
Because of Northwest, and yes, I know that he was the founder, but look back at that episode where they were not the founder.
He actually was not the founder.
Yeah, exactly.
And Dipper shoved it to her face also. He's like, your whole Nathaniel Northwest wasn't the founder, your whole family's a sham. Deal with it.
Yeah, I love that,
I love that moment. Good one.
Okay, but yes, I mean, Pacifica Northwest definitely had that influencer type. If you know her back when you were watching Gravity Falls, there were so many fans that loved her. Everybody idolized her. Even Mabel idolized her, if you remember those past episodes.
Yeah, back in season 1, but it was a temporary sort of idolizing.
Yes, but look back then. When Pacifica first started to come in, you get to see her with the popular girls. I mean, other girls were following her as well. And everybody, like, I remember, like, in that episode where they were having a party in the Mystery Shack, when Pacifica won the whole entire contest, everybody wanted to go to her after party. Yeah. So, if anything, she did have a big influence to Gravity Falls fans, to the Gravity Falls folks out there.
Yeah, and you do see that like her house is filled with her mansion is filled with like party
So,
stuff and
so
all
are we
that.
assuming that back then, for those who are rich and are popular, is that what we are calling the influencer back then?
That's part of the influencers. That's half of the influencers. Like a partial group of the influencers do come from rich families, and some of the, yeah.
Well, here's the thing: like, you can be an influencer, but you get rich by the fans that follow you because they'll donate to you, they'll support you with so much like gifts and things of that nature. That's why when I said Trixie Tang was definitely an influencer, so many people were giving her gifts and so many compliments. So influencer number one right there.
Influencers come from different shapes, sizes, and forms. They come in different types of
Yeah,
forms.
I wouldn't really consider the rich factor in this one.
No, like it happens. Not all influencers, of course, but there are some that fall into this category. There are some of those that influencers that come from the middle class, but do get rich from, like you said, making videos, being big time influencers, and pretty much influencing people to want to be like them.
So we're looking at like three factors right now, like being rich, fans, their social impact.
Yeah, all three are contributing factors. I'm not saying that all influencers come from all three, but there are three possible reasons as to how they become influencers.
Yeah, and from the way I'm kind of seeing, like from the 4 samples that we just announced, they all relate in a way. Like Rhonda, for example, she's rich. She is just a kid in PS 118.
Yeah.
But the only thing I could see from her is that she's rich and that other people idolize her in school. That's it.
Yeah. I think people like idolized her in school because much like Pacifica, Rhonda pretty much flaunts on like her wealth and her name,
right?
Kind of like how Pacifica did here.
But she's not as popular like in the town. We don't have a Rhonda Wellington brand thing out there, not like a Pacifica Northwest like name that is well known out there, you know?
They're both popular, but in different scales. Pacifica Northwest is a popular girl on a bigger scale, whereas Rhonda was a popular girl from a smaller scale.
It's very small scale in this case, but she's not as popular where a whole town knows her. Pacifica Northwest undoubtedly has a whole town that knows her. And it is because of the Northwest family, yes.
Yeah, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm wondering if Pacifica's friends really do fall around, if they do legitimately care for her and are loyal to her, or if they're just sort of like following her around because like they want to be her entourage, where they want to pretty much use her, wealth and her name to pretty much have them become popular, sort of like cloud chasing in a sense. Because
most of those influencers are cloud chasers.
because after season 1, in season 2, Pacifica's friends aren't really anywhere to be found.
Yeah, and I don't think Pacifica was. I don't think that was like the main focus. The girls don't care about that. They were just more of an entourage for Pacifica. Back then in season 2, when you see Pacifica by herself, she won the Gulf War, for example. She went through the Northwest Mansion mystery thing. She at least led the ghost to pretty much be free.
She redeemed herself.
Right. That one is well known because she redeemed herself in that episode. But I'm just saying, like, Pacifica has her own ways of like becoming an influencer by influencing a whole town to know about her by the last name or by just becoming Pacifica Northwest. She's like well known. Everyone knows her in Gravity Falls. Rhonda, on the other hand, she's not well known. She's at least known in her peers in PS 118. But everything else that Rhonda has done is more towards her family and let her family become the folks that end up making her an influencer. It makes me want to think with Rhonda now becoming an influencer, how will that go? How would she Twitch stream? How would she get fans,
Yeah, I'm just wondering because I'm sort of envisioning Rhonda in her adult age where, where social media influencing is the new norm, as it's a norm nowadays. Like in this current age, I'm wondering, Rhonda in her adult years, how many followers will she get, and how much revenue will she get off of YouTube?
Oh, she's probably gonna get a lot.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, but anyways, yes, back then, in the 2010s and below, these characters that we just mentioned would be those popular girls that would become influencers in the future. But now we're in this kind of age where, like, in the 2020s, when the pandemic happened, everybody was pretty much on their cell phones just watching whatever entertainment was on. You know, everyone was streaming, everyone was becoming an influencer. Right?
Yeah, I would say that the pandemic definitely boosted up and elevated social media culture.
And I think this was the cause of where everybody started to become an influencer now. And this is where we actually start to see the trope in cartoons. And now let's actually talk about the recent characters that have become quote unquote influencers in the show. And let's start off with someone that's actually well known. Andrea Davenport.
Yes,
now,
all the Fandrias, come listen to what we have to say.
So you already are a Fandria, the fact that you know Andrea Davenport.
Fandria.
Okay, right off the bat, you already know that Andrea has a lot of fans. Like, she is well known to be on a cell phone, literally just streaming about her life, talking about what is going on, being in like live interviews like this, just being what an influencer is.
Yeah, so pretty much all the go-to, like, she is the textbook definition of a social media influencer just by the fact of how she always live streams. She always gets so many likes and all that kind of stuff. There are times where she even uses her, social media influence and live streaming for good things. Like, for example, helping Molly out with her housing situation.
There was that, but then remember the first season, she was mostly on about social media, talking, literally in a Geo Club, literally just being on the stream saying, hey, what about rocks? What? I think it's just like 24/7. All of them are just going to be on a phone, literally just talking about their lives. That was like what Andrea was like before she started to break in second season. All about her life was mostly on a cell phone. Like, she's just streaming with fans. She's just talking about how her life was. And that was the definition of what an influencer was. Could be a bad influencer, but it's in that area.
Yeah, and season 2 was her turnaround for her character, especially in episodes like where she helps Andrea helps Libby with her period.
But that was
especially where Andrea. Remember Andrea's social media influence type, like her platform is going downhill.
I'm understanding that, but I'm just saying, like, the definition of what an influencer was. We already discussed this on the early days. I'm just saying that Andrea Davenport definitely felt like the definition of what an influencer is. Like, she definitely feels like all she does is for her to actually live and continue to have a social life, or to have her recognition, name, brand worthwhile, she needs to actually be on the phone and actually stream.
Yeah, and that's why we see her so glued to her cell phone so much, is because she's focused on keeping her brand name alive.
Yeah, but you know how the effort is when it comes to doing that. Yes, it does take a toll on your life. That's what happened in the second season, where her followers did fall down the drain.
Yeah, that's when her brand name was sort of dying, and so she, along with Molly's help, she aimed to rebrand herself.
Yeah, well, the Davenport brand itself was also falling down. The fact that, remember, the store was closing. Now Davenport's is like not existent anymore. So what can Andrea do? Get out of social media, which is what she did.
Yeah, and then I remember it's hard for her to do. I remember at one point Molly even suggested maybe you just like get off of social media for a while, and then Andrea gives her a look like,
yeah, I remember that.
Yes, that look with the huge angry eyes and the red.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, yeah.
I'm just saying though, like, Andrea Davenport, from the way I'm seeing it, she definitely was the definition of what an influencer is. From the first impressions, literally, when you first see her, literally on her cell phone, talking to her fans, talking about her life and her fans, that was definitely an influencer, and she keeps on doing that even if she actually like let go of the phone. She literally does take a selfie with her. It's an interesting character trope about Andrea, but if anything, she does hit all factors. She's rich, that's one thing. She has a fan base, a lot of fan bases from what I'm seeing in her social media style. Does the town know her? Yes, because the Davenports. Yes, the Davenports is well known in Mid-Brighton. So she does hit all three factors when it comes to being an influencer.
Yeah, and so what you see here is Andrea Davenport being like possibly the most prime example of the social media influencer trope in animation. I think this is the number one go-to above anything else.
But as we know that there are more influencers that also came up from animation. One other character that we can bring up here is Kristine Sanchez. She's from Hailey's on it. And I do want to give a whole point about, Kristine, because Kristine started off as an influencer. This is literally from the first episode. You get to see her just be on her cell phone talking to her fans, saying like, Kristine the Hat Queen, I'm wearing my hat today. This is me wearing a scarf. It's so beautiful, right? Having her fans like and react. You can see the reactions literally right on the screen too, okay?
Yeah, you can tell that she's got a lot of fans.
Now, after that episode, we don't see her much as an influencer. So after that episode, we mostly see her, like, for example, be with cell phones. She doesn't live without cell phones. and then we also realize she has like 5 or 6 cell phones. So I know that her social media thing is become huge.
There was this one joke where they were in the escape room, Kristine, Hailey, Scott, and they were in the escape room, and then this employee from this escape room was like, cell phones please, and then she had to hand him a bunch of cell phones. Then she
you know that she's into social media with the fact that she has so much cell phones.
Yeah. And so she was like, pretty much dying in the escape room. It was like, I can't live without my precious babies.
She's literally like the way for her to actually solve that puzzle, she had to literally read through text. So there's that about Kristine. But after that episode, again, Kristine doesn't actually show the fact that she was an influencer. She actually lived like a normal life as a teenager. That is, until she started going on to that hat show, where she went to the show. She did end up actually winning that show. But then after that, she did end up actually going to a dip where, like, for example, she is like last week's news to say, and she became washed up.
Oh man, like she became irrelevant.
Yeah, she became irrelevant. If anything, Kristine, on the other hand, kind of needed that, I feel like, because like all the popularity was getting to her. The cameras were on her. Her follower count is what she lived with. And that if that actually does fall, like, it's like saying your life is ruined now.
I think like Kristine is one of the best examples of how to do a social media influencer, how to incorporate social media influencer trope in your story, because it goes to show that the popularity of fame doesn't last forever. There is a time where it is going to fade, and Kristine got her reality check because of her popularity and her social media influence image fading. And so ever since then, she lived a normal life, and she's come to grasp that living a normal life without having to be a social media influencer can be nice as well.
Indeed. And we get to see that after the episode where she actually starts to dip. But if anything, again, this is a great example of what Kristine was. She is an influencer by having a lot of fans follow her, like her stuff and everything. And she even has a recognizable name, Kristine the Hat Queen.
Yeah, and it shows the most realistic way of telling your story about a social media influencer.
Mm-hmm. And if anything, again, a social media break is what they needed. And this is what Andrea and Kristine both had, because both of them were dipping in the numbers and they're like getting their lives ruined. If anything, their way to actually come back is to get a re-image tool of themselves. We get to see Andrea without a social media life. She's just on her cell phone most of the time. Kristine, on the other hand, she's actually living really well without a cell phone or social media. So if anything, they're living better lives now without the influencers type. But we do have to recognize the fact that they were influencers, that they were relying on the internet and many fans to make them live.
Yeah, I mean, they may have gone different paths in terms of their resolutions to their character arcs, but at the end of the day, they both went paths that felt right to them, and their journeys helped them learn that you don't need to be a social media influencer and be focused on the internet all the time.
Indeed, yes. But there are a lot of other influencers that we also want to bring up. Let's actually talk about one that's in the Marvel universe called Casey Calderon.
Casey!
Now, I do want to actually talk about Casey, because Casey started off not an influencer. She literally was like on the phone, literally just talking about, for example, some sort of food. Is it great or not? Blah, blah, blah. That's how she started off, like from the way that we saw her character. Like, she's on her phone, she's talking about life, etc. But if you could see from the reactions she had before, there wasn't much like. So she was a starting up influencer. Like, she wants to be an influencer. She wants to have a lot of fans talk about her. And if you know from the first episode, she was just a loner with Lunella back then. Remember?
Yeah, she was. That's why they bonded so well. That's why they clicked, is because they didn't have anyone else to talk to other than each other. So that's why they had each other. That's why they bond very well.
But what I think about what I think about Casey Calderon is that when the way that her influencer thing came up is because of Moon Girl. She started to get popular because she started to get the popularity of Moon Girl up and rising, and I think there was like some sort of bond where like Moon Girl and Casey were like blending together, and both of them worked together. That made Casey's like social media life go up way high.
And unlike the case with Pacifica and her friends, you never got the feeling that Casey never leached off of Moon Girl's popularity,
No.
nor has Moon Girl ever leached off of Casey's popularity either. In a way, their friendship and their influence and popularity help benefit each other.
If anything, Casey's relying on Lunella in order for her to get her social life up and running, and then Casey's also helping Moon Girl's social life go up and working because the Lower East Side actually knows Moon Girl a lot. Thanks to both of them, they know they're becoming well-known heroes over there. And even if Casey's not a hero, Lunella's she's there to help out Lunella wherever it takes. And I think this is like a good formation of like how friends should be. Like Casey may be a nobody back early in the days, but because of Lunella, she's now becoming something.
And because, and if it weren't for Casey, Moon Girl wouldn't have like the supportive backup friend other than Devil Dinosaur. Like Lunella as Moon Girl needed someone who was a best friend, someone she could rely on to keep her superhero identity hidden. So that's what helped benefited Lunella. Mm-hmm. So their friendship benefited each other.
Although there was that one episode, like what you're seeing right now, where there was so much social media likes because Casey did invite a social media influencer to that bat mitzvah that she was celebrating. And it turned out to give her a lot of likes, the Moon Girl giving her a lot of likes, that in the end, she turned out to be a huge jerk to Lunella.
That was one of my favorite episodes because it's one of those it's one of the episodes where it shows the conflict between Casey and Lunella.
Well, if anything, this kind of tells you the influencer type that you don't want to be. There's influencer that you don't want to be, where you actually become an influencer yourself, getting so much likes and follows that you're actually relying on your friends to give you those likes and follows.
Yeah, and I think that's what I liked about this character arc of Casey's is that it shows how being a social media influencer, it shows the dangers of being a social media influencer when it comes to risking friendships, because
it definitely showed up a lot in this episode where like Lunella was so conflicted with Casey with the social media stuff, liking things here and there, that Lunella threw a fit to Casey to pretty much say, hey, get me out of this. I want to celebrate your bat mitzvah without Moon Girl. I want to be Lunella.
Yeah, and Casey would have none of that because she wanted Lunella to be Moon Girl all the time for her image, for her bat mitzvah.
Yeah, so and this is the wrong way to do it.
It's
and
the wrong way
Casey
to do it.
Definitely showed it off in that episode.
Where it shows the dangers and consequences of putting your social media influence life over your friendship, over, your close ones. And the episode does a really good job of showing it. That's why it's one of my favorite Moon Girl episodes.
So if anything, Casey, again, thankfully in that episode, she does realize the fact that that social media life that she's been having with all the likes and all the people that she's been following, actually impacted their friendship. That's why she had to cut ties, especially even taking care of that villain that was the social media influencer, actually. Thank you, Anakana, by the way.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, if anything, Casey, I feel like, is the definition of what a social media influencer should be. It can't be all about the internet. It can't be all about you being an image in front of people on your cell phone. Make sure that you actually are with your friends. Who are your best friends? Make sure you also care for them too. And that's what Casey's done with Lunella. She may have been doing a lot of videos, showcasing videos of Lunella, literally just going all over the Lower East Side, rescuing things over in New York City. But in the end, they're still friends in the end, and they work together and have a great bond together.
Yeah, Casey is the most wholesome social media influencer I know because she does a good job of balancing her social media influence life with her friendship and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's what I can say about Casey. If anything, she kind of is a positive side towards the influencer type. All right, then last but not least, let's actually talk about another show that actually showcased influencers, but didn't really show up a lot. But we kind of want to give them a little bit of a highlight before the episode ends here tonight. Do you remember this guy? Do you remember this guy from Big City Greens?
Ichaboi!
This one influencer tuber that was on Big City Greens, and he was, quote, the bad influencer, as the title said.
Yeah, Ichaboi was definitely one of the prime examples of how not to be a YouTuber or social media influencer or live streamer or anything like that, because he let the popularity get to his head up to a point where he turned out to be inconsiderate.
Yeah, and he just cared more about people getting money, and I'm
Yeah.
like, God damn it, this kid. And he was also selling a lot of his merch for like hella money, and then a lot of rich kids were even buying it too, even influencing Remy Remington to even spend $1 million to go on his yacht.
Oh gosh.
So this is how influencers should not go through, and this is kind of like one thing we want to showcase for it comes to influencers in cartoons, that there are also bad influencers, just like Ichaboi, where he literally was just using his fans to just get more richer, to say.
Not only that, but he also came off as one-dimensional as well.
Well, he's supposed to be a jerk. Like, I don't know if you've seen like influencers who are jerks, but there are influencers that are jerks.
Logan Paul.
Oh, fuck that guy. Why would you mention his name here in this podcast?
I brought up an example. There you go.
Yeah, okay, fine. There's that guy. But then who knows when his fall is going to happen? I mean, we did see Ichaboi's fall happen in a couple episodes later that season. But no, I mean, if anything, Ichaboi definitely showcased what a bad influencer should be. Do you really want to buy a jacket for $125 or $500? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would be, unless they're stupidly rich and they want to burn their money, have their money burned somewhere. I don't think anyone would be willing to buy triple digits for a jacket.
So first off, he's rich because all of his fans are giving him money for his merch, donations, etc. But remember, there's another kid also in Big City that is also rich too, that he also himself tried to become a influencer. Remy Remington.
Yes.
I
remember that episode.
Okay. I don't know what Remy's like life was doing, but he did 2 episodes of trying to becoming an influencer. First off, following an influencer, and now becoming an influencer. What is this kid doing?
I think that Remy wants to become a social media influencer, but in the first episode, he does come to learn to be considerate of his family and friends when becoming a social media influencer. Otherwise, he'll end up being like Ichaboi. So the first episode was a really good lesson for Remy to learn before becoming a social media influencer himself, because you got to have the humbleness, you got to have the support, you got to have the love for your friends and family in order to become a legit social media influencer.
But here's the thing about him becoming an influencer. He did have a lot of fans, but what did he do to get those fans? He heard cricket.
Yeah, he heard cricket. And I think that Remy does come to learn that hurting your friends isn't worth becoming a social media influencer.
No, exactly. Well, it took him a while. It took him like freaking 10 minutes for him to realize, oh my God, I'm hurting my friends. And even Ichaboi, even coming up to him, a washed up Ichaboi coming up to him saying like, listen, man, you got to give me more of your vlogs. I don't know what this kid is doing, but you got to give me more content of him.
Hey, better late than never though, right? Better late than never trying to learn a lesson.
Well, he learned his lesson then, but I'm just saying, like, for Remy Remington, his popularity seemed to go up, that he was following the footsteps of Ichaboi back then. Yes, thank you, Ding Dong, for actually giving Remy Remington some life of being in social media, to say. It did take him a while to realize, yes, the amount of fame isn't what you're supposed to do to harm your friends, to say. This actually made a good life for Remy to actually like sacrifice himself to do all those pranks that he was going to film instead of having Cricket do that.
Yeah, I totally agree, and it's definitely a good character arc for Remy.
Indeed, yes. And at the moment right now, we haven't seen Remy become an influencer anytime soon. He became a farm guy in those episodes, yes.
Yeah, honestly, I'm going to say this. Yeah. I think that it was definitely best for Remy's character to... honestly, him moving with the Greens to like the country, the farm for like season 3 definitely was good for his character, just based on the fact of how he had to learn the ropes and he had to learn the ways of, you know, the country way, you know.
Just remember the fact that Remy Remington used to be an influencer, and he got so many people on Ding Dong that he actually would hurt his friends to do that. So yeah, there's that.
There is that.
Okay, last but not least, I do want to talk about a certain group that was also on Big City Greens that are absolutely looking to be influencers, the Caitlyns.
Glorious BFF! Glorious friends!
Okay. Now, the Caitlyns don't have much focus. Yes, they are Gloria's BFFs, and they did premiere in season 2 when they were out in the club with Gloria. But we're in season 4. Gloria's still hanging out with the Caitlyns, and as we continue to hang out more with the Caitlyns, they don't know what to do. Most of their life has been on social media.
Yeah, it shows how they aren't exactly in touch with reality.
No, they're not. I mean, what they do is that how do we say this? They care more about like their love life. They literally go on Tinder to swipe left and right. They care more about their image. So, for example, I remember there was like a scene where they were like, "Oh my god, I look so ugly in this picture. Take it again."
Yeah, I remember one Caitlyn was crying because I didn't get any likes on my dating app in 3 minutes. It's just
so,
like, really?
Do you? I would expect those folks to be influencers to say, not really influencers, but more like, oh my god, these are girls that just are on their phones all the time.
They're on their phones all the time, and I feel like them being on the phones all the time they could turn their cell phone addiction around and put it to their benefit by being social media influencers and using their creative tutorial skills like makeup and dresses to really help boost their image and to even make money.
Right, and that's what influencers do. Like, they would go on and possibly like, you know, hang out with other folks that are as popular as them, and they'll also like get money or get some revenue out of that. I'm just saying, like, the Caitlyns do have a future where they can also become influencers and actually talk to people, say like, hey, let's actually make a deal together and actually, work together on a video or something, you know.
Just watch. I'm waiting for a future Big City Greens episode in which it focuses on Gloria and the Caitlyns, to where the Caitlyns become big social media influencers, and then Gloria uses the Caitlyns as a way to gain clout to be their entourage. And then it's going to be similar to Operation Popstar, where Gloria in the end learns not to use her friends for clout.
Nah, I really hope that's the case. I don't know, but the Caitlyns didn't really have much at season 4. We don't have... Besides this episode, there wasn't really much of the Caitlyns after season 4. So at the moment right now, Caitlyns, they're just more on their phones, into social media life. Are they influencers? We have no idea. We don't know if they'll become influencers, but it kind of leads towards the fact that these 3 could become influencers, and maybe Gloria could be an influencer soon.
Yes, influence Gloria. It's something I need.
He's the number
social media influence Gloria. Let's go.
He'll be the number 1 fan. He'll donate $1,000 to her.
Take my money.
Oh my god.
Take my money. You deserve all the money.